All right, we're good to go. All right, this is Clement once again. Clement Oinlala, and I'm so glad to have every one of us on the call tonight. I'm so glad to have everyone of us on the call this evening. I believe you can see my screen. Okay. I believe you can see my screen. We can see my screen. Can you raise your hand? We can see my screen. Can you raise your hand? Okay, one person can see my screen. Is it just one person that can see my screen? Okay, two people can see my screen. One person and then we'll go on. Can we see my screen? Can we hear me? Can we see my screen? You can see my screen and you can hear me. Just raise your hand. Wow. Only two people can see my screen and hear me. Wow. All right. Okay, I think we are good to go. We are good to go, good to go, good to go, good to go. All right. Yeah. Welcome once again, everyone. This is Clement Ulara, and I'm going to make this as brief as possible so that I wouldn't take too much of our time. Okay, so tonight we're going to analyze something. Tonight we're going to analyze something quite interesting. I saw this morning, and it is looking amazing so far. I just want to share it with us. I want to quickly share it with us. Okay. All right. So let us go to weekly chart and see what's up with B75. This is B75 on the weekly chart. All right. So you can see I have three positions running on my B75. Okay. Yeah, three positions running on my B75. Now, let us minimize this. Let us go down to daily chart. Let us minimize this as well. I want to show you something very quickly. I don't know if you can see this. Can you see what is happening here? Can you see that? Can you see that level? That level is a support. That level is holding as a support level. Okay, that level is holding as a support level, and it's amazing because price tested it here. It tested it here. Tested it around here, tested it around here again, and now we have it right there. And the funny thing is that price is coincidentally coming around here, this area, which is looking like an area of confluence. Now, this has been a resistance so far. You can see how price has been respecting it here, respected it here, also respected it here, and now it is coming to that area again. Okay, it is coming to that area again, and there is a high likelihood for us to see a reversal around this level, and this may be the break we are looking for. All right, this may be the break we are looking for. Okay, so this is what I saw on the daily chart, and I'm like, come on, this is not. This is looking interesting, and it's going to be a good one if we're able to get in as low as possible. And that was why I called a buy earlier this morning. My first buy, you can see my first buy this morning. I entered the first buy around here. This was the first buy. Okay, so price came down a little, then we entered another buy here. Let me not confuse you. Okay, the first buy was around here, second buy was around here, and then we have our third buy around here. Now, those were the three times we've entered this market. All right, and what made me conclude on entering is very simple. You can see it on the chart already. If you check 4 hours, we check the 4 hour chart, there's something here that was very obvious. That's a convergence right there. Can you see that convergence? Okay. So when I saw this convergence on 4 hours, I just knew that, come on, V75 is likely going to give us a good push up any moment from now, any moment from now. And then I went down to 1 hour chart. I went down to the 1 hour chart, and then the convergence was much more obvious. Okay. So you can see the convergence. It was much more obvious on 1 hour chart. And this right here was simply a market manipulation. That right there was simply a market manipulation. Was simply a market manipulation. All right. I'm getting a lot of messages that people can't see my screen. Is that true for everyone? If you are raising your hand, please drop your hand. I want to know if you can see my screen. If you are raising your hand, kindly drop your hand. If you can see my screen and you can hear me, can you please raise your hand? I need our response, please. If you can see my screen and you can hear my voice, can you raise your hand, please? Is anyone, can anyone see my screen? If you can see my screen, please, I need your feedback so I can move on. I need your feedback, please, so I can move on. Raise your hand if you can see my screen. Nobody's raising their hand. Does that mean nobody can see my screen? Wow, okay. Okay. Can anyone hear me? If you can hear me, raise your hand. Okay. Okay. I've confirmed now that you can hear me, but I need. All right. You can drop your hand. You can drop your hand. You can drop your hand. Okay. Now, can you see my screen? Raise your hand if you can see my screen. Okay. So, okay. If you can't see my screen, please upgrade your Telegram. If you can't see my screen, please upgrade your Telegram. You should be able to see my screen. Okay. So, let me pick up from where I stopped. I said coming down to the 1 hour chart right here, this convergence became much more obvious. Okay, this convergence became much more obvious. You can see the convergence right there. And then we can see this you can see it's fake out. We call this a fake out. It looks like a breakout, and then it would have tricked people into thinking that V75 want to sell. However, V75 is very much bullish, all right, at least for now. Okay, so and we've entered 3 positions already, and that might be all the positions I want to enter on this particular asset. And I'll just wait for it to play out and see how far it's gonna go. Now, looking at 4 hour chart, I'm expecting Mission 5 to come as high as this level. At least whatever happens, it should get that high. It should get that high. Okay. Now, looking at 1 hour chart, we already have our entry. We already picked our trade. We already picked our trade. We already have our entry. Okay. So okay. So this is an obvious falling wedge. This is an obvious falling wedge. If you're a trader, you know what a falling wedge is. This is an obvious falling wedge. And then we have our breakout happening right here. Okay, so a lot of things might happen right there before we see a final shoot up. Okay, price market might try to tire out some people, and then a lot of people would want to give up on the market before the market finally spikes up, and then only the patient eventually gets the money from the market. Okay, now we waited 2 days before we got this set up, and then it would require the same patience of waiting for us to wait for the market to play out nicely. All right, so except something happens in the market, I am not expecting the market to sell at all for now, at least for the rest of this week and the rest of this month. I'm not expecting market to sell. I'm not expecting V75 to sell. I'm expecting it to keep buying. Now look at 8 hours. You see this spike. You can see that bearish rejection candle right there. You can see it right there. So it's a strong one. Let me show you something else on daily chart for you to know that I'm not expecting this to sell. Now look at daily chart. You can see this bearish candle right here. You can see this right now. You can see the next candle that formed after. That's an Angima candle. And whenever you see an Angima like that, whenever I see a candle like this, okay, it is always a rejection candle or something like this. Is always a rejection candle, always a rejection candle. Okay, so an example of that is what you saw here. Another example of that is what you saw here. Okay, and let me see if I can see more examples of such for you to know what an Angiman is. Okay, let's go back to the, okay, I can see some further example. This is another example here. You can see that Angiman right there. Is there another example? This is one here. And then the same thing has played out here. And you can see today's candle that is currently forming. You can see that it is also forming a bullish candle for us. It's also forming a bullish candle for us. So if today closes like this, we may not see any major move in the market until tomorrow. Until tomorrow, okay? So this time tomorrow, we might be having a huge profit in our account, except something we are not expecting happens in the market, which we are hoping it won't happen. But ceteris paribus, we should have a strong buy movement up here first of all, and then probably here next, and then probably here. All right, so this is what might happen on V75. So we are going to keep following the market. We have entered a buy already. This is our first target. Okay, if price defeats this level, we enter another buy. If price defeats that level, we enter another buy. This will be our next target. If price defeats this level right here, if price defeats this level right here, we would enter again and look for a new target, probably around here. Okay, and if this level is defeated, then we can keep going higher and higher and higher. All right, so that is what I'm expecting on V75, and I hope you are in the market. I hope you are enjoying the market, and let us flow with it. Now for step index, I am staying away from step index for the meantime, not because I don't want to, not because I don't want to. Sorry, give me a minute. Okay, not because I don't want to trade step index, but because step index right now is not stable. Okay, I said it before in one of my videos that step index and V75 have negative correlation. And negative correlation means that whenever step index is buying, we're expecting V75 to sell. However, for the last couple of days, every single time step index was selling, V75 was also selling. And it was it was risky. That was why I had to stay away from the market and allow the market, the two of them, to decide who is selling and who is buying. Okay. Now it is looking as though they finally decided who is selling and who is buying. However, step index is still quite a little tricky right now. So if you want to trade step index, you will need to be extremely careful. This is a channel you can see that I just dropped for you here. and this is the level that has been holding on step index for a while, and it seemed as though step index broke this level above. It had its own manipulation right here, okay, and it looked as though it is going to break above. Right now it actually seemed like it has broken above, but let me show something which might mean something. Okay, okay, that means is that they finally given us a clue, and the clue is that V75 is the bullish market and step index is the bearish market. And so, if step index is the bearish market, we would look out for a place to sell. Now, another reason why I am looking out or staying away from step index is because there seems to be a convergence on step index. If you look at this right here and you look at this right here, there seems to be a convergence. Now, the convergence is not like V75 convergence. V75 convergence was looking like this, if you can remember. Okay, not like this. I don't know if you see the difference. You can see the difference. The step index convergence is not like V75 convergence. V75 convergence is looking much more asymmetric, while step index convergence is not as asymmetric as I expect it to be. So, with that being said, I would not believe or I would not go with the fact that step index is a sell. I would not agree with that convergence on step index. I would rather see step index as a bullish market, sorry, as a bearish market instead of a bullish market, and V75 remains the bullish market. Okay, so while I am waiting for step index to continue forming and give us a clear, clean setup. Okay, now on daily chart for step index, everything is looking as though it wants to buy, and you shouldn't blame anyone that is buying step index right now because they might actually make some money. Look at everything that is happening here. Everything that is happening right here is pointing to the fact that step index want to buy. Everything that is happening right here is pointing to the fact that step index want to buy. And also, you need to also understand that this area was respected. This was broken, and it seemed like a retest here. And so it is possible for us to have a continuation in the sell. Very, very possible. So I'm not going to affirm that step index is going to buy, and I'm not going to affirm that step index is going to sell. I am simply going to watch out. I might stay away from step index for the whole of this week. Okay, for the whole of this week until except I'm able to get a clean, clear setup to enter the market. As far as this is playing out, it is only 1 hour that is giving me something reasonable, which is this engulfing candle, which is pointing to a potential sell. And still, I'm not going to follow that. I'm not going to use that alone as my deciding factor to sell step index. So I'm just going to simply monitor my V75, which looks like it's playing out nicely. Okay, you can see the profit right there. Okay, $36 already. All right, so you can see how it is playing out nicely, and we will just keep holding on to that. And the moment we have a crossover, which has happened already, okay, it's almost happening. Okay, that's happened on 15 minutes. You can see the crossover right here. You can see that crossover, AMA crossover that's happened on 15 minutes. I expect it to also happen on 30 minutes around here. Okay, and then I'm expecting to also happen on 1 hour. Now, the moment we have all those crossovers, then we are rest assured that this is coming here. Now, on step index, do we have any crossover like that? Let's check. Okay, we have something that looks like a potential crossover, but I won't trust this crossover right here. I won't trust it. It might give us something like this. You can see how it came close and felt as though it's going to be a crossover, but it did not cross over. Okay, so I think we've picked something tonight. We've seen what is happening on V75 and step index, and I want to believe no one of us have any question. Okay, because I want to call it a night already. So I think we've picked something. Have we learned something? If we learned something, just raise your hand and then we'll call it a night. All right. Okay. Nobody's raising their hand, so I want to believe we are shy to raise our hands. All right. So thank you for joining me this night. Thank you for joining me. If you are in the trade, if you are following the trade, if you picked the V75 trade, raise your hand. Let me see if any of us is even trading at all. If you pick the V75 trade, raise your anyone V75 trade. Anyone pick the V75 trade? You guys are not responding. Can you hear me at all? Wow, you guys are really not responding. Okay. Let me assume that you chose not to respond. All right, so let us call it a night. We'll pick it up from there tomorrow or another time. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining me. I remain Clement in Lola, and I'll see you in my next video. Let's enjoy the V75 trade. Then we move on from there, and then see you some other time. Have a wonderful night.